COROT-7b. If Mercury took steroids, moved in next to the sun, and got a taste for lava showers, you'd have something close to COROT-7b. Located 489 light-years away, this super-Earth doesn't orbit its star. It clings to it like a desperate moth to a blowtorch. This planet is so absurdly close to its star that its day side never stops broiling. It's tidally locked, which means one face is always turned towards the furnace. And the result is a surface temperature hot enough to liquefy rock, literally. We're talking oceans of molten lava stretching across the daylight side. That's like playing a never-ending game of the floor is lava, except it's real lava. And if that wasn't metal enough, its atmosphere isn't made of air, it's made of rock vapor. The heat is so intense, it vaporizes minerals straight off the crust, turns them into clouds, and then cools them just enough to rain pebbles back down onto the lava. COROT-7b also likely lacks a magnetic field, which equals no planetary shield, no solar mercy. Radiation from the host star blasts it day and night, peeling off whatever atmosphere it still clings to, like a sunburn that never stops peeling. And don't expect relief on the dark side. That hemisphere is frozen in eternal shadow, cold enough to flash freeze anything that dares drift over. No sunrise, no sunset, just silence, lava, and cosmic doom. Kepler 438b. At first glance, Kepler 438b looks promising. It's a super-Earth chilling in the habitable zone, just the right size, just the right temperature. It's like a cosmic Tinder match for Earth. Same vibe, slightly bigger, might support life. But then you swipe right and realize you've matched with a red dwarf that throws temper tantrums for a living. Kepler 438b orbits its star at a distance that makes Mercury look like a recluse. It completes a full lap in just 35 days, barely dodging its star's constant mood swings. And we're not talking gentle sunbeams here, we're talking super flares. These aren't your average solar flares, these are the stellar equivalent of rage-quitting the universe. Sunscreen isn't going to do a damn thing here. Each super flare is like the sun lobbing nukes for fun. Intense blasts of radiation hundreds of times more powerful than anything our solar system dishes out. These tantrums would absolutely obliterate any atmosphere Kepler 438b might have had. Radiation would rip through the skies like a cosmic blender, turning breathable air into atomic confetti. Without a strong magnetic field to block the assault, this world would be baked, sterilized, and left for dead. This planet might look Earth-like, but living on it would be like camping next to a fireworks factory staffed entirely by toddlers with flamethrowers. Constant radiation, no protection, and no break in the cycle. HD 80606b. If planets could scream, HD 80606b would never shut up. This gas giant does more than orbit its star. It slingshots around it like a deranged comet on a roller coaster from hell. Most planets take a leisurely, elliptical stroll around their sun. HD 80606b doesn't believe in chill and prefers a death dive. At its closest pass, this beast gets within 2.8 million miles of its star's surface, closer than Mercury gets to ours, and then flings itself back out like it's dodging a breakup. This brutal boomerang orbit causes temperature tantrums like nothing else. One moment it's a frigid wasteland. The next, it's plunging towards its star at warp speed, its atmosphere flash frying to nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit in just hours. That's hotter than molten lava, hotter than Venus, hotter than any version of fun in the sun you've ever imagined. The result are shockwave storms. As the heat punches the atmosphere like a cosmic jackhammer, winds scream across the planet at thousands of miles per hour, howling, surging, ripping through the gas layers with rage. If you ever set foot on this thing, somehow, the weather alone would fry you before you could say heat stroke. Scientists love HD 80606b because it's basically a stress test for planetary survival. Its atmosphere stretches, compresses, and flails around like it's in a permanent panic attack. If you're looking for peace, HD 80606b is the last place you'd want to land. Wasp 76b. If you ever found yourself on Wasp 76b, your umbrella wouldn't just flip inside out. It would vaporize before you even opened it. This isn't weather, it's metal madness, and Hephaestus, the Greek god of fire and forge, would be proud. Or terrified. Wasp 76b is an ultra-hot gas giant that orbits its star so closely it completes a full year in just 2 Earth days. It's tidally locked, meaning one side always faces the inferno, locked in a never-ending stare-down with a stellar furnace. Temperatures there reach 4,350 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to vaporize iron like it's incense on a sacrificial altar. On the day side, metals don't melt, they boil. Iron becomes airborne, and then the winds, roaring at breakneck speeds, carry this metallic vapor across the planet to the cooler, darker night side. There, in the shadows, the iron condenses and rains back down as molten metal. Picture that! It's not just raining fire, it's raining blacksmith runoff. It's as if Hephaestus built a weather system with a grudge. The atmosphere is so bloated from heat, it's nearly twice as wide as Jupiter. The whole planet looks like it's been force-fed radiation and anger. No ozone, no clouds, just layers of blistering gas screaming under pressure and metal storms. Kelt 9b. If planets had identity crises, Kelt 9b would be leading group therapy. Because this monster isn't content with being a planet, it's actively trying to become a star. And in the process, it's terrifyingly good at it. Kelt 9b is an ultra-hot Jupiter that orbits its parent star every 36 hours. It's also tidally locked, so one side is constantly facing a star that's trying to boil off the planet. The dayside temperature is about 7,820 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than some red dwarf stars. That's turn your atmosphere into soup hot. Under this intensity, hydrogen molecules split apart like your sanity during finals week. The atmosphere is constantly being shredded, reassembled, and hurled around by heat-driven chaos. And floating in that soup is vaporized iron and titanium. Kelt 9b is also slowly disintegrating. Its atmosphere is being blasted into space by its sadistic sun, molecule by molecule. It's the kind of world that laughs in the face of survival. Not even Hephaestus would dare forge here. You wouldn't last a millisecond. Not because you'd burn, but because there's nothing left of you to burn. Hey, and speaking of burn, if you're still watching, you're officially hotter than 70% of this planet. Might as well prove it by melting that like button and setting the comments section on fire. Gliese 436b, the planet where ice burns. Gliese 436b is what happens when the universe breaks its own rules and dares you to make sense of it. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it just quietly exists as a giant middle finger to everything you thought you knew about water. This Neptune-sized exoplanet orbits its red dwarf star at a suicidal distance, just 4 million kilometers away, completing an orbit in just 2.6 Earth days. It's blazing hot, scorched by stellar radiation, with no protective atmosphere to speak of. So what's its surface like? You would expect lava, especially with all that heat. But no, it's made of ice. Not the comforting frosty kind, though. This is hot ice, a bizarre high-pressure phase of water where molecules are crushed so violently that they lock into a solid crystal, even while the temperature is hot enough to boil lead. Imagine putting your hand into a fire and getting frostbite. That's Gliese 436b. It's ice that sizzles. Solid water sitting calmly in a hellish oven, refusing to melt because the pressure is so extreme it crushes heat into submission. And while that's horrifying on its own, Gliese 436b is also evaporating. Its upper atmosphere is being stripped away, leaving a giant hydrogen tail bleeding into space like it's trying to outrun its own decay. It doesn't rain metal. It doesn't burn instantly. Instead, it unnerves you with its quiet contradiction. A planet of fire and ice at the same time. A place where water is solid under inferno. You won't get shredded by storms here. You'll just stand there, sweating through your suit, watching ice that's hotter than lava and slowly realizing you understand nothing. Gliese 1214b. Gliese 1214b is an alien water world that sounds like it belongs in a dreamy sci-fi poster, until you realize this ocean isn't blue, isn't calm, and definitely isn't safe. This exoplanet orbits its red dwarf star every 38 hours, so close it's practically hugging the thing. Surface temperatures soar to around 540 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough to boil lead, and yet this world is soaked, not in water as you know it, but in something far stranger. Gliese 1214b is drowning in superheated water, oceans layered with exotic phrases like supercritical fluids, high-pressure ices, and maybe even plasma sloshing deep below. Imagine standing on a planet where water isn't gas, liquid, or solid. It's all of them, at once. No waves, no solid surface, just an endless, boiling, crushing abyss that gets denser the deeper you go. The atmosphere is thick, humid, and mysterious, an opaque cloak of water vapor that hides whatever horrors lie below. You wouldn't see anything much, and you wouldn't even be able to focus because the pressure is trying to pop you at the same time. To make things worse, scientists can't even agree what the bottom looks like. Rock, liquid, metallic hydrogen soup? It's anyone's guess. Every answer sounds worse than the last. And the fear isn't just drowning, it's the unknowable. This is thalassophobia dialed to 11, a planet where you're suspended in heat, pressure, and darkness, with no surface, no sky, and no escape. Just infinite water that isn't really water anymore. We don't even know if it has a solid core, or if it's just ocean all the way down. Hat P-7b. Hat P-7b doesn't scream or roar or rage. It just absorbs. Light, heat, attention. It drinks it all in and gives nothing back. Orbiting its star once every 2.2 days, this gas giant is locked in a tight gravitational embrace, sizzling away at an unholy 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. But the horror isn't the heat, it's the darkness. Hat P-7b reflects almost no light. Over 97% of the visible light that hits it is swallowed whole. You could float above this giant and not see it. Not a shape, not a shimmer, just a gravitational ghost surrounded by boiling winds and chemical haze. And if that wasn't eerie enough, its skies may be raining gemstones. You heard that right. Scientists believe its atmosphere is laced with corundum, the very mineral that forms rubies and sapphires. Under the right conditions, wind-blown clouds of these minerals could condense and fall like glittering ash, turning the weather into a jewel-encrusted tempest. Imagine walking through a storm of microscopic knives made from shattered rubies, falling from a sky that doesn't reflect starlight. You wouldn't see them, you'd just feel them. These storms are whipped around by winds so fierce they could shear a planet's soul. The atmosphere churns constantly. That's massive flows of heat and pressure flinging clouds from day to night in endless chaos. But nothing reflects. No lightning, no flashes, no moonlight shimmer. Just a silent titan of gas cloaked in permanent shadow, seething behind an obsidian curtain. Hat P-7b isn't terrifying in the usual way. It's not loud, it's not violent, it just exists. Impossibly black, oppressively hot, and quietly cruel. A planet-sized void in space, daring you to find its edges. Kepler 22b. At first glance, Kepler 22b looks like Earth's shy twin. Same neighborhood in the galaxy, same warm spot in its star's habitable zone, and possibly covered in oceans. It's the kind of place sci-fi optimists pin their hopes on. Kepler 22b almost gets you thinking, this might be a great place to live. Then you get whammed by a Venus-level horror show waiting to fry anything foolish enough to land there. The truth is, Kepler 22b is a planetary coin flip, and one side of that coin is fire. If its atmosphere turns out to be dense and carbon-rich, like Venus, then it's game over. The greenhouse effect would go into overdrive, baking the surface to a blistering 864 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to melt lead. Any ocean would become a pressure-cooked nightmare. Any life would also get vaporized. You wouldn't walk on Kepler 22b, you'd bubble. But then there's the other side, the fantasy. If Kepler 22b has an atmosphere more like Earth's, it could have a comfortable 72-degree Fahrenheit average temperature, mild oceans, and cloud-streaked skies. It could be a water world paradise, the kind of place that poets dream about and billionaires ruin. The catch is, we don't know which version we're dealing with. Its atmosphere hasn't been detected. Its mass is still a mystery. It's like looking at a postcard of a beach and realizing it might actually be a photo of the inside of an oven. It's the not knowing that makes it terrifying. It's the potential, the cruel tension between Eden and Inferno. So which is it? Is it Earth 2.0 or Venus on steroids? Until we find out, Kepler 22b remains the most terrifying kind of world. It's the one that might have been perfect, and maybe isn't. Wasp 121b. Wasp 121b is an ultra-hot gas giant that orbits its star so tightly it completes a lap in about a day. It's tidally locked, so one side is forever stuck in daylight, staring straight into the furnace. That side reaches temperatures of 4,600 degrees Fahrenheit, or 2,500 degrees Celsius, which is hot enough to boil iron. Not melt, boil. And that's exactly what it does. The upper atmosphere contains vaporized metals like iron and magnesium, but it doesn't stay there. Supersonic winds, so fast and violent, they make Earth's worst hurricanes look like birthday breezes, sweep the metallic vapor over to the night side, where it cools just enough to condense into iron rain. And when large winds whips up boiling iron, you get left with molten metal rains, literally. You'd step outside and be shredded by droplets of falling steel. But Wasp 121b doesn't stop at metal weather. The atmosphere is layered like a cosmic lasagna of horror, different elements riding on different wind currents, mixing in unpredictable, chaotic flows. The planet is so hot, its heavy metals are actually escaping into space, bleeding into the void like a dying furnace. It's a world that's literally disintegrating, molecule by molecule, storm by storm. A star-side inferno, a dark-side metal monsoon, and no mercy in between. There's no ground to stand on, no shelter to hide in, just a raging sky, molten clouds, and the sound of your atoms giving up.